Welcome to the podcast, Badass Mother Hustler, where the grit, stress, and the beauty of motherhood and entrepreneurship meet. We'll share the realities and stories of what it takes to make it all work and still be a badass mother. Now here's your host, Maddie Yaka.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. I am so happy to have here with me today my friend, Badass Mother Hustler, Jill Godbout. She is a mom of 4 children and the owner of Emery Jude Photography. Every entrepreneur mother has a story, and we can't wait to hear yours. So thanks for coming on today.
Sure. Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your childhood and does entrepreneurship run in your family?
No, not at all. Most people in my family, there are a number of people that went into, corporate finance kind of careers, but none really did entrepreneur anything. I did get a degree in business, and did work in the corporate field for a little while, but I'm not cut out for it. And so how I started my business was that it's a great way to start a business. I did pictures and someone paid me. So I was like, okay, I should start a business. No, terrible idea. But at the same time, when I did that and I didn't really have a huge plan, there was no plan B. So it had to work. And it actually has worked out really well. So it's been now 15 years that I've been doing it. And then with the experiences of my own children, I found out that I work really well with special needs families.
Okay, hold up a sec.
Okay.
So you started this business 15 years ago, but it was like kind of an accident?
Yeah, I decided if you're going to give me money, I should have a business. Great idea.
That is so funny. So were you a stay-at-home mom at that time? And then you had decided, like, so many questions. Were you a stay-at-home mom, and did you love photography? And because someone paid you, that's kind of why you decided to go that route?
So I had worked in the corporate, a mortgage company, which was just not something I'm cut out to do. And so I was laid off from that. And then I was thinking out ways that I could just bring in income. And so since I loved doing photography, I ordered a fancy camera. And then while I was unemployed, I was able to take night school classes. So that was really helpful to learn the mechanics of the camera. And then I was just hustling to get business and clients and yeah.
So what'd you do to hustle to get business and clients? Did you 15 years ago? Gosh, what is that? 20? I'm trying to.
2010.
Yeah. So
So it was
Facebook-ish.
yeah, social media posting. I did a lot of advertising on different websites. I would go to different vendor events and things like that, trying to get. I mean, obviously, it doesn't happen overnight, but I found that once I started getting in with certain groups of people or with certain people, and they would give me tons of referrals. So.
Yeah, my business is built on referrals too. It's super, super nice. And yeah, but your business started out as kind of like what, general photography, and then you decided to hammer down on special needs, like taking photos with families with special needs children.
Right. So it was general photography in the sense that trying to build a business. So I had to be more flexible in what I would do. And then once it started to grow, I started to hone in on what clients were ideal to work with and, whatever else worked well for me. And in terms of special needs, I didn't initially make the connection, but then when I would talk to people about my own children and the diagnoses they had, it dawned on me that I was just naturally able to communicate and connect well with kids with autism, with developmental delays, a whole lot of them, and I would realize that if you don't have that experience, you might not be able to connect as well. And so the session might not go as well as you had hoped.
So when you are so many questions all at once.
Go ahead.
When you are working with a family who has a child that has special needs, what does that session look like? How might it differ from other sessions?
Oftentimes, they're not oftentimes, but for a number of children, the idea of sitting and taking direction doesn't work well. So it might be, the kids are older. I'll ask them, is this okay to take a picture here? Where would you like to go? What would you like to do? Is this okay to sit here? A lot more of just meeting them where they're at. And if the kids are, much younger, maybe they don't communicate on the same level. So that would just be seeing what they love to do. And, maybe in their pictures, they're just held upside down, or their pictures, they're running, or whatever it is. It's going to be different than the traditional, okay, everybody sit here and smile, because that's not a direction that some people can follow, whether or not you're special needs.
Yeah, that's true.
There are definitely grown adults who are like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this. And so it's, working very quickly to try to be done.
At this point, what is the ratio of families you help with children that have special needs versus not? Would you say it's like 50-50 or?
No, I mean, I think because I do such a variety of work between newborns, engagements, weddings, families, and that sort of thing, it isn't a huge percentage of it.
Gotcha.
But it's helpful with certain things, like if a family wants pictures done and one of their family members is not going to be the same level of cooperative as other families, or if I'm doing a wedding and there's flower girls that don't want to cooperate, this knowing different strategies to use so that you can still get great pictures. Like I know recently I lined up all of the bridal party and the flower girls didn't want to stand there. So the best pictures are the bridesmaids in the back and the little girls running towards me. That was a game we played.
That is so cute. Yeah, normally flower girls are younger and they can be difficult. I say it like that because my oldest, she was a flower girl for the first time for one of my sisters almost a year ago, and trying to get through all the photos towards the end. Yeah, not that great. He's like, there's fun smiling.
It's very much the instructions of, here's the number of pictures you'll likely be able to tolerate. Any pictures you want with especially small children or anybody who has very limited patience, do those first. And if they don't want to, we'll come back to it.
Yeah. So you've had your business for 15 years. How many children did you have when you started your business?
I had just had my third one.
Okay.
So the other ones would have been 3 and 5.
Oh my goodness. Yep. So young. And what was it like to start a business with young children?
Well, at that time I was also trying to build up a childcare business. So I'm not really sure what exactly the plan was for this. But it was just chaos, and just there was a lot of just kind of throwing things at the wall, see what sticks.
Did the kids come with you to photo shoots?
When they got older, a couple times they'd like to be my assistant. So I would, pay them, whatever it was for a session.
So, I guess you were working the shoots around when your husband was home and able to watch them, or?
Right. So, and doing a lot of them on weekends was helpful because that works for a lot of other people's schedules. So and even still to this day, it's weekends and nights, is because I still have a 9-to-5 job of doing childcare. So if I were to do a photo shoot during the weekday, I would have to arrange backup. So I try not to do too many of them.
Now, what was it like with that business, with your photography business, when you had your fourth?
So at that point, so that would have been 8 years ago, I had built up a good clientele. So I actually worked up until 2 days before he was born. And then I just didn't schedule anything for a month and a half or something. And then so a couple people would say, when you're ready to come back, we'll schedule our session.
Yeah, so you eased into it?
Yeah, it was because he was born in the summertime, it didn't go into the fall time, which is the busiest time.
Yeah. The fall is the busiest time. Is that like with weddings and stuff and leaves changing color?
The leaves changing for family photos, because people I mean, it's starting to be a little less intense in the fall and kind of spread out during the year. But typically, yeah, the fall you get the leaves changing and it's not 4,000 degrees and it's not negative 12 degrees. So it's more mild temperatures and just a lot, people, that tends to be when people push the pictures. But I found that a number of clients are starting to do them like in the spring or even doing beach sessions in the summertime.
So you'll drive to the beach? For everyone listening, like we're not super
Yes,
close to the beach.
because it's, I don't know, a couple hours with no children in the car.
Yeah.
So I
So some
want to listen
you
to,
time.
right. So if I want to listen to music with, bad language, or if I want to, listen to a podcast of a crime show that is not good for young children, I can do whatever I want.
That is a good call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Built in you time.
Yes.
So when we had connected, for everyone listening, we know each other from a local entrepreneur mothers group that I started. So gosh, we've known each other for over a year now because
Yeah.
that started in April. And you had reached out to me thinking that it would be super helpful to come on and discuss what it is like to try to work through losing a family member and digging through that grief and also trying to balance a business and everything else that is continuing to happen in life. So do you want to fill our listeners in a little bit with what I'm
Sure.
pointing out?
Sure. So my daughter Ella was, she was 14 and she had a very complex case of epilepsy. And I think it took a huge toll on her. And so we had hoped that a surgery that she was scheduled for would help. And I think I think the battle was too much for her. And so she passed away last August. Um, and so, yeah, then it became a thing of trying to balance, other children and the, normal adulthood things and going through a grief journey because it's now been almost a year. So I've been able to have almost all the firsts and learning what I can tolerate and what I can't tolerate. Um, but just in general, the topic of grief, everybody gets affected by it. And when you're trying to, when you are self-employed and it depends on what you can do, but you need a break, I think fortunately I have a large number of wonderful clients who, as soon as I said that I was coming back, then they booked their session. And I've had a number of word of mouth referrals and things like that. So I've been able to stay steady, but there's still the, daily reminders of, can I work today or can I not work today? And,
Yeah, I cannot relate because I've not had something like that happen to me.
right.
So I guess the first question is, how long was it until you felt like you were able to get back into your business?
I took off probably about 8 weeks. I think I took off of everything. And then because there initially was the concern of, can I do it? Can I go
Yeah.
back to doing it? Is it going to be overwhelming? And I think at least for the first 6 months, there was a lot of adrenaline. So I was able to do things and I was able to get things done that after that first 6 months, I just couldn't do anymore.
So did you stop again? You put it on hold?
No, what I ended up doing was I would not schedule on certain weekends or certain days. And then I would only schedule a limited number of sessions per weekend.
So you lightened your load compared to
Yeah.
before?
Yeah, pretty much now it's all word of mouth booking instead of posting as much in groups
Okay.
about, it used to be where people say, I'm looking for a photographer for this. And a lot of them I would comment on. And then, now I just kind of, okay, I have my couple sessions for this month and I'm good.
Now, what was the first session back like? Like, did you know those people?
Yes. All of the sessions, I've had far more returning clients than new clients. So the one that I had, I actually was a little bit late to the session. And it was pretty much, she, was just do whatever you can do, and then all the clients that I had initially knew what had happened. And so all of them would say, we want a book, but we understand if the day comes and you can't do it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much been how all of it is. And even with people that are asking about, referring me to people, I say, just please make sure they know my situation, because if I bring it up and they don't know, it gets very awkward.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not bad, but pretty much everybody that I've worked with are all, good vibe people. So yeah, it's really nice.
What was the first holiday that occurred after Ella had passed away?
Halloween.
Halloween. Was that her favorite holiday?
Yeah, pretty much all the events that she was at just sucked. All of them. So yeah, Halloween I went to. So Ella's kid 4 is 7 years younger than Ella. So he is.
So Ella's your third.
Ella's kid 3, and then there's a fourth one.
Yeah.
So the youngest one was in first grade, and they would have a costume parade. And so I would go there, and this was her elementary school. So I saw people I knew there. And then it was just watching the parade of costumes, knowing that there was one who didn't get to dress in a costume because the previous year we had been doing keto to try to help with seizures. So instead of doing a costume, we went to sushi dinner. So this is going to be the year that she was able to go back out and trick or treat. So yeah, it was hard. And I think for Thanksgiving we just got Chinese food or something. And
I
Christmas,
remember you
did
saying
nothing.
that.
Yeah. And so it was just anything that she was a part of was just awful.
What was it like for the children with the holidays?
So my oldest is 20 and doesn't necessarily do the most talking about all of his feelings and emotions. But the other two, the youngest is 8 and the kid 2 is 18, and they loved them. They loved Christmas. They loved Halloween. They loved all of it. Um, but but I would say the oldest one has been very extra helpful. Like he went out and bought all the Christmas presents for the siblings and took care of a lot of different things.
I had a question. I forget what I was going to say. That happens during some episodes. It's just it's mom brain. What was that question? It was about holidays. Okay. Well, I don't know where that went. Now I'm totally off track.
That's all right.
So I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going. Obviously, I didn't have enough coffee today. What specifically did you want to, what message did you want to give listeners if they are experiencing something that is similar to what you're going through?
I would start by saying that it doesn't matter whether it's what the loss is, because everybody has a certain relationship to people that make an impact on their lives. And certainly the loss of the child is ranked as the absolute worst, but it doesn't mean that other people aren't entitled to their grief. And what I would say is if you face grief, is be in touch with how you're feeling. Don't try to rush into anything. Don't try to push yourself. It's okay to be sad. Your grief journey is not linear, so you're just going to experience how it is. And it's okay to say, I can't do these things. What I told somebody else is just that no is a complete sentence. If somebody says, can you do this? No.
Yeah. You don't have to explain.
No. I think recently I was going to go to a ball game with a group of photographers, and I really didn't know them. I woke up with severe anxiety, and I just told them I can't do it.
Do you have people reaching out because they know your story and they are looking for advice about how they can try to get through that journey?
I have had some people that have asked for advice for someone they know, like a friend of theirs has gone through it, and then just what's happening. I do know that there are people who I want to say probably have blocked me on social media or can't reach out to me just because they can't handle it. And I'm, nobody needs to explain themselves. They can just say, this is what I can't do, and that's okay.
Now, were you just like within yourself working through the grief of everything happening, or were you reaching out to people? Were you seeing a therapist or anything like that? What did your journey entail?
So because Ella was an organ donor, Gift of Life does provide a number of therapy sessions to certain therapists. So I went and saw that therapist for a number of sessions. And I think it can be really helpful, but I also tend to be very analytical especially of emotional stuff. So a lot of when I was in the session at that time wasn't the most helpful because I was already doing what they would recommend doing. So, I think a lot of it was just having to go through it.
Like going through the firsts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing that, now I know that every holiday sucks.
Yeah.
So, I think friends and I are going to get together who have also had big losses, and we're just going to sit there and, I don't know, eat queso or something and not do holidays. But now a lot of it, I know I can't handle certain days. Right.
Like certain days of the week, or
No, it would be holidays.
okay.
Her birthday.
Yep.
We're coming up in a couple days will be the anniversary of the surgery. So
Okay.
that's awful. And then
Yeah.
10 days after the surgery is the day that she passed away. So
Yep.
so right now I'm in this 2 weeks of just melancholy. I mean, that's kind of, and that's,
Oh shit, you're doing this interview in that 2-week?
yes, I am.
Come on, you should have chosen a different 2 weeks.
No, because a lot of times what helps is when I can talk about it. Like I'll go to a lot of different places with the bracelets because I like Taylor Swift, and giving out the bracelets and talking about her is fun. I enjoy it. But I think too, in terms of grief, the thing to remember, and Billy Bob Thornton said this, was there's always a sense of melancholy. It may pass depending upon, if you had, say, an older relative that was hard at first, it may kind of diminish with time.
Yeah.
But it may be there forever where I know sometimes for me where I'll have days where there's some sort of interesting gossip story, like the Coldplay concert, for example. So the whole day I was like, oh, I invested, I had a whole theory about everything, and this is, really exciting, and whatever was going on. The next day I woke up, felt like I was hit by a truck because the energy it takes to do something like that is so draining. Because whereas normal people, not normal people, but typically people, you'll naturally feel a sense of energy. Well, I'm starting a couple levels lower than you, so it takes even more just to, get there.
Now, goodness gracious. I have a question, and then I let you finish. This is what happens when I film back to back. You know how they say chunk your work? Oh, I remember. You I'm like a dog where they throw the ball and they get lost.
Right? Huh?
Yeah. You have just, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but just embraced everything that happened. You're like, this is what has happened. I'm putting it out there. I feel like someone loses someone, and then it's the typical, the funeral and that stuff, and then you don't hear anything ever again, and they kind of just keep it to themselves and make it seem like everything is fine and dandy and it's moving on, where like, yes, you want to get back to how you were, but you don't want to forget about that person. But you are like, you talk about Ella all the time, which is awesome. And you're sharing this journey with people who might not know what to do. And then you also started your nonprofit. Can you fill our listeners in about that? Because that is just amazing.
Sure. So I think, I'm aware that my journey is very unique. And a lot
That is
of it
a great word for it.
I do what feels right to me. And that's all I can do. And so you're correct. Typically, and you look at other people, oh, my mom or whomever passed away, and you initially get the outpouring of condolences, and you get the meal train, and it stops after a month or so, because people go back to their normal lives and they don't carry the burden that you carry. And so for me, when she initially had her surgery and it went wrong, we had, there was a number of days where we had some optimism that maybe she would wake up. But it was 10 days of just 24/7 in the hospital with a lot of time to think, because there really wasn't a whole lot to do.
So how long was the surgery supposed to be?
It was supposed to be probably 5 or 6 hours.
And
then
is that how long it was? And something happened towards the end,
No.
or did they come out like in
No.
the middle?
No, it was supposed to be about 6 hours, and then she was supposed to stay, I don't know, a night or two in the hospital and go home. At about hour 3 of the surgery is when I got the call. And so she was in one hospital for the surgery, and then they transported her to Nemours Children's Hospital in their pediatric specialty unit.
So they called you from Nemours?
No, it was at Jefferson Hospital. So I was in the waiting room.
Okay.
Which are not very exciting, by the way. The Nemours waiting rooms are much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, at about hour 3, as I'm like trucking down the street looking for food with all of the stuff Ella brought, I get the call. And so I had to go up, and then it was not really knowing what was happening in the moment, where it was just, oh, okay, we had an emergency, we had to stop surgery, and we're just going to go to Nemours.
So that's what they said. Yeah.
A lot of it was a known risk, but it was very, very rare. So, there was initially, for the first couple of days, there was, kind of not a whole lot, but there was some hope that maybe we could figure something out. But it wasn't looking great.
Yeah.
And then I want to say it was on day 7 or so is when they delivered the news. And so then it was a couple days of, because it didn't happen immediately, they kind of had to wait for certain things. And then once everything happened on the last day, then they did what they could to try to keep as many organs available for donation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is amazing that she was able to give to other people.
Yeah. All 3 recipients were, I think, between like 25 and 35.
Okay.
Her kidneys got 2 people in their 20s off of dialysis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how was explaining all this to your youngest?
So he has autism, so some of like his perceptions of things are a little bit different. He saw her in the hospital, so he knew she was very sick.
Mm-hmm.
And now he just tells everybody she lives in heaven. And whenever we see butterflies, he'll say hi to her. And, when he lost a fish recently, it was, we flushed him down the toilet because heaven doesn't have pet stores. So if we flush the pet, then Ella gets a new goldfish.
That's so creative.
Yeah, so he hasn't really had any sort of abundance of sadness. And I think some of that was just the way that it was all presented to him.
Okay.
And Nemours has a whole lot of social workers and family life resources where they have different ways to explain it to children, because even some of my younger nieces and nephews were there. And so they would pull them aside and say, okay, guys, here's what's going on. Because if you go into the hospital and you see wires, it's very overwhelming. And, she didn't look anything like she normally looks. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, he was fine. I think the, older 2 obviously had some different stuff going on. Some we're still working through, and others that seem to be in a better place. So
Yeah. Now you have kept her spirit alive through your nonprofit, which I'm gonna, because I, get us off track with questions. Why don't you fill everyone in on that?
So I think when I was in the hospital, since we had they have all the adrenaline going. I think I had maybe 4 hours of sleep at night, and that's about what you can do. Knowing that we were probably not going to bring her home was when I would write sort of the tribute to her that was eventually posted, and then I sat there and said, I can't just not do something. Like, I can't have no place for grief to go. I need some sort of channel for it. And she loved to give gifts, random presents. Like, she took cinnamon rolls from my aunt's house in Massachusetts, somehow got them home to Pennsylvania, brought them into school, and I didn't know until the teachers wrote me a letter thanking me for the cinnamon rolls.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But she would bring in other random stuff. A number of her teachers loved pickles, so she would bring in jars to them, and so I just decided that that's what I would do, was find a way just to do random things, because that's how my brain works and that's how she would work. So it's that every donation just does something. So it's and every time I do something, I can talk about her, which is very, very helpful, because again, a number of parents will say the worst thing that you can do is not talk about their child. Like, they don't want people to forget, or and so everything I do, there's it's okay, well, here's every bracelet we give out, here's what the bracelets are for. And so some things, like, there's in the district where my kids go to school, if a high school senior has a negative lunch account balance, they can't go to prom and they can't do some of the graduation activities. So because we had great fundraisers, we were able to pay off $2,400 of negative balances, and that covered 193 seniors.
Wow, that is awesome.
And I mean, some were just, well, I'll get around to it, but other people were negative, like $70, and a single mom, and couldn't afford all these things, and they're talking about door dashing to get the money.
Oh, wow.
And so now it's like, you don't have to worry about that, because I started it with just the school that Ella would go to, and we had so many resources, we could just cover the entire district. But other things like paying for groceries for single moms, buying books and toys for kids for Christmas. Sometimes I'll go, if I go grab some food and there's a person behind me, I'll pay for their order. People have donated zoo tickets, so a number of families have been able to go to the zoo for free.
And you do larger events as well. Don't you do larger events as well?
Yeah, so we're kind of working through it, because I think at a certain point, when the harder days were there, I would brainstorm like 72 events, and I'm like, no, I can't handle all of this. But the ones the big events that I want to continue, in November, renting out the movie theater. So
that's what I remember seeing last year.
So Ella wanted to see Wicked, so we fundraised and were able to rent out the entire theater. So I think it ended up being, some people were sick, but I think it ended up being over 100 people that came and saw the movie for free.
That is awesome.
So we're going to rent it again, because apparently 3 hours of a movie was not long enough, and there's a second part to it. But she loved the movie, so I wanted to do it again. And then she also loved wrapping presents. So we had a whole event where people could bring their presents to get them wrapped. Or at least having a DJ there and food was a lot less stressful than wrapping at Christmas Eve on your floor while you're swearing why you didn't do it earlier.
Yeah, I feel like so many people do it then.
Yeah. Well, there was other people that were like, I hate wrapping. I said, come to the event. We will wrap it for you. And people were like, I have paper, I have this, and so it was great, because we got tons of all the supplies covered. And then, like, local pizza shops would donate the pizza for people to eat, and soda, and so we had DJ and face painter and balloon animals. And so it was just, I wanted it to be all the stuff that Ella would love to have. So that one, gift wrapping, the movies, and then her birthday in April was another big one. I don't know if I'll do it that big again, but it was the 15 raffle baskets of things that Ella loved. because once you get it, because it was hard enough to get to 15, and
Yeah.
if I have to go to 16, I'm just going to run out of stuff to do.
Oh, you were thinking about doing one for each birthday.
So my idea for this year, since she would be 15, is I bought 15 baskets of her 15 favorite things. So there was a basket of stuff to make crab legs. There was a basket with a trip to the movies and a hotel stay, and just a whole bunch of other things that she enjoyed doing. But what I found, and it was wonderful, I enjoyed doing it, but it was a lot of work to get all of the raffle tickets, and it was even more work to go drive around dropping these things off and arranging pickup. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I did. I don't know if I would do it that big again.
Did you do all 15 things in one day? Like drop them off?
No, some people would pick them up, some I would
Yeah.
drop off, and I think then this year too I did 15 bouquets of purple flowers, because
Yeah.
every year my mom would give her flowers and balloons, so I got 15 bouquets. And dropping those all off to the 15 people I chose took literally all day, and I was like, I don't have this energy again.
Those were beautiful.
Oh,
So beautiful.
yeah, the stems then did a great job with putting them together. And I think once I ordered them, picked them up, when I looked at them, and I was just like, this is a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Couldn't see out the back window, couldn't see out the sides. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe we've been chatting for as long as we have been. I have one more question for you before we move to our rapid fire 5 and 5. Balancing motherhood and being an entrepreneur is not always smooth sailing. What
Right.
has been stressful about managing both roles for you?
Not having a clear division of time. When I would just kind of answer emails whenever, or try to get back to people in a certain amount of time, and trying to take care, I mean, they're a little bit older now, but trying to take care of all the other stuff that was done, it's impossible. You're gonna, I was failing at all of it. So it made a huge difference when I said, okay, I will work these times. I will answer emails during these hours, and um, edit during these times, and that made a huge difference, because then you're not multitasking or multi-focusing. You're
Yes.
just focusing on what you need.
Well, that in this season of my life, I've decided I'm going to be waking up at 5 a.m. and doing my business work from 5 to 8 when the kids wake up.
Yep.
And I'm slowly getting there. This is week 2, and I've woken up before 6 o'clock twice. So I'll get there, because once it starts to pile on me, that's when I feel the pressure and I'm going to have to get
I
up.
think the other thing that's very helpful is learning to let go of things that are not super critical. Like,
Yes.
if something needs to get done, does it really need to get done today, or can I just take a couple deep breaths and go make friendship bracelets or something else that's just very cathartic and not stressful?
Yeah, like I have a list that I started at the beginning of the week. Like, these are the things I would like to accomplish this week. And I did like most important to least important. And if I don't make it to the bottom, it's whatever. It can be moved to the top maybe next week.
It's kind of like paying bills, where you just pull one out of a hat, and I'm so sorry, company A, you were not picked, so you'll get paid later.
Yeah, yeah.
Not your turn.
All right. So these questions are all about you.
Okay.
What do you do to recharge, and how do you find time for yourself? You already kind of told us, but
I think, well, one of the struggles that I've had is sleeping, which is very difficult. So what I've started doing in the evenings when I'm done my 9 to 5 job is I will do something that's very mindless, whether it's making the bracelets, or I started taking rocks and drawing on them, and putting them out for people, but just something that's very simple and repetitive, because then it kind of slows things down, and then I'll, can go to bed. Um, Time for myself. I think, days that I don't have anything scheduled, like some weekend days, I'll usually just avoid people. Like, leave me alone. I will take care of some things, and I will get back to you when I can. But, just kind of taking each day at a time, and figuring out what's best for that day.
what are you currently reading or listening to?
Not a big reader, but I tend to listen to a lot of crime shows. So I have Discovery Plus app. So there's some different shows that I'll watch there, but there's also like guilty pleasure shows, like some of the reality shows, and some of those make you feel much better about yourself.
I have to get my mother-in-law hooked up with the Discovery Plus app then, because every time we come over to her house, she's got on Investigation Discovery. And it's so
Yes.
funny. I brought the kids over and it's like on in her family room and she doesn't realize it. And they're talking about some gruesome crime scene and have up the photos. And I was like, yo, Sally, like, can we change this? And she's like, oh my God, like I didn't even realize it.
Oh yeah, there's definitely memes about people that are questioning how people can find it relaxing just to
Yeah.
watch. Or someone's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't come to your event. I have to help detectives solve the crime or whatever it is. But there's something, I don't know, there's something about it that's just, I can just listen to it. But only
Growing
during time.
Growing up, I used to watch Unsolved Mysteries.
I hated that show because number one, it was so creepy and they didn't solve it. I needed
Yeah.
an answer because if they didn't solve it, then that murderer was coming to my house.
Oh my goodness. I totally forgot about that show until recently. I was like, I wonder what happened to that show.
Yeah,
From
those
a
shows that are just a little too creepy.
yeah, from a business owner perspective, who is your role model?
That is an excellent question.
This is like throwing people for a loop because I feel like maybe it's a little bit too narrow, but I do like to hear what people come up with.
No, it's not. I don't think it's narrow. I think, definitely I'll look to a lot of more seasoned photographers in terms of how they work and what they do and what works for their business, because I feel like a lot of them have worked on a lot more of the, kinks and bugs and all that sort of stuff. So it's a lot easier to hear from their perspective about their workflow, especially some that will do workshops because they'll say, here's how we run this event or that event, and here's our style. So that's very interesting to hear what they're doing.
Yeah, like they've already run through the wheel of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So it's
Like,
nice
how
to
are you so efficient? Tell me
yeah,
the
yeah.
secrets. Yes.
What is the song that you blast the shit out of if entrepreneur mom life is too much for you that day?
Depends on the mood. So if I'm feeling I think today was Sarah Bareilles. Kind of. There's a couple other ones like Hosier. If I need something upbeat, Shake It Off is a good one.
I was gonna say, is Taylor Swift one of them?
Yes, Shake It Off is always a good one. And there's some Bruno Mars ones that are very, very good.
Yo, Bruno Mars just put out, I think it was him, like a very scandalous song.
Oh, if you listen to his song Gorilla,
Oh, okay. I'll have
that's
to
very
look it
much
up.
like, oh, we're not going to listen to this with the children.
Yeah. I I think it was
I'm
him
not
that put
surprised.
out a song about vaginas.
Probably.
Yeah, okay. Because
Oh,
my
he's
sisters were like
he's-
sending some song in our sister
yes.
group chat, and they were like, "Oh my God," and you have to watch this video. And I think it was him, but I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Listen to the song Gorilla. Because that'll just okay, but that's not for children at all.
As soon as we get off, I'll have to listen.
But I'm hoping that him releasing all of these like duets with other people mean he's leaving Vegas and coming back here. Because if you like concerts, his show is unbelievable. It's very reminiscent of like the Jackson 5.
Oh, cool.
If you ever see him on like some of the award shows, that's what you'll get.
Oh, so the song that my two older kids like, and they're not older, they're 5 and 3, but they like is it called Appetite?
Yes,
Yeah. So
yeah.
when I
That's a newer
first
one,
saw
yeah.
it on like the screen in your car, I was like, oh, is this apartment? Like, did they have to shorten it? Is this short for apartment?
No, it's a Korean drinking game.
Oh, really? So
Yes.
every time I hear it, it's in the car, and I'm like, I should look up what this means. But then the song ends, and it's like 10 minutes later, I'm at my destination, and I have no idea.
Yeah,
So
it's
okay,
some sort of stacking Korean drinking game. So
well, you
very
learn
good for
something
kids.
new every day. My kids
That's
love
right.
the song that
Yes.
is about
Well,
a
it's a good
Korean drinking game.
right. If you don't read into it, of course, it's very catchy. But his yeah, he does some other ones like with Lady Gaga and those sorts of songs that have come out recently.
Yeah. And finally, what is some advice you can give a struggling entrepreneur mom who might be ready to call it quits?
So when you are really struggling and not getting business and you're not sure what you're going to do, I would say take your camera out. Think of something that would be really fun to do. and just do it for yourself. Maybe you find comfort in, I don't know, a certain park. Go to the park and just take pictures of what you love and just find time to just fill your soul. I know a couple years ago, I'd ordered a Buddy the Elf pajama set and just took my son around town and recreated all the scenes. And it was just a fun project just for me, and it was great.
Was he your Facebook profile picture? I've seen some of those pictures. Yep. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So cute.
Yeah, we were at one point. He was riding the escalator at the mall, and we had the pasta plate. And we went to one of the Wellington Square bookstore where he did a couple of the other ones.
That's awesome.
And it was the Jack in the Box one. That was from Wellington Square, which is a great business, by the way, if you're ever up in Exton.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a kids area and tons of books, and it's just a really cute little store.
That's cool. So thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you sharing everything with our listeners. If they wanted to reach out, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Facebook works, Instagram, email.
What is how can they find you on Facebook, or what's your Instagram handle?
So my name on the screen here is my Facebook name. My business is Emery Jude, EMERY JUDE. Instagram.
You don't remember? I'll just look it up and then I'll tag it in notes.
I think it's like Emery Jude is in there, but the problem with my account got hacked, so I had to make a new one, and I haven't been the best at posting photos. I think I just posted pictures from, I don't know, a couple months
all right, y'all, reach out to her on Facebook.
Yep.
All right. Again, thank you so much. And as always, everyone, I leave you with a quote. There are no rules for what your business and motherhood should look like. So until next episode, see ya.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining this episode of Badass Mother Hustler. If you loved this episode as much as we did, and it left you feeling inspired and empowered, give us a quick like and subscribe, and we'll invite you back to our next episode. And be sure to share us on your socials and visit our Instagram, Badass Mother Hustler Podcast. We'll see you next time.